Math is great, math is okay. You will need in life every day, from pandas to functions, to fractions, to formulas.
Alright, for this problem here, I have 4x squared minus 9. Now, the thing I need to pay attention to is the exponent. On your maps that we had created, if it has the power of 2, this is called what class? This is quadratic. So anything that's quadratic or to the power of 2, we're looking to find the a, b, and c and see if we can put it into our x on our box. Now, the a, b, and c come from standard form, or it's in descending order. Here your a value is 4. Your b value is 0. Now, what that means is, notice how when I wrote the problem, I wrote a space in here. In your next math class, I would call that a placeholder. There needs to be put something in here to find a b value, because the wrong way is for students to think that b is a negative 9. C is negative 9 because it's a constant. There's no variable. There's no x here. So this, in front of your b value, your coefficient is 0. And then lastly, your c value is negative 9. So here I'm going to do a times c. A times c is how much, class? Negative 36. Down here I'm going to place your b value, which is how much? 0. Okay. I need two numbers that multiply to be negative 36 and also add to be 0. 6 and negative 6. Okay. Now, back in chapter 12a, when we did factoring and solving, the common mistake is to put this in parentheses and say the answer is x plus 6, x minus 6. Let me prove to you why that is wrong. Class, what is x times x? X squared. This one says 4x squared. That's to help you understand that that's wrong. Okay. I need to take these and I must do the box. In our method of factoring, when your a value is greater than 1, you must do the box. If you don't understand when to use the box, I would tell students just keep using both x and the box. Okay? Here, these two terms, one goes in the bottom left, add an x. One goes in the top right, add an x. Class, what color goes there? Yeah, everything we have in yellow there. So that would be everything, 4x squared. What color goes in the bottom right? 8. What number goes there? Negative 9. Okay. Now, I'm trying to think of, I'm trying to fill out the outside of the box. What are two expressions that multiply to be 4x squared? 2x and 2x. Let's see if that works. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times something equals negative 6x. Negative 3. Come down here. Something times 2x equals 6x. That would be positive 3. We basically learned a couple of months ago that if you think about it this way, going in this direction, this is your greatest common factor, 2x. The greatest common factor of these two terms is negative 3. The greatest common factor of these two terms is 2x. The greatest common factor of 6x and negative 9 is positive 3. So these are my binomials. 2x plus 3, 2x minus 3. If you have a special name for this, the special name is not important to me. They call it a difference of squares. Okay? And this is your answer. Factor. Can't factor. Factor each polynomial over the set of complex numbers. Use the factors to identify zeros and then sketch the polynomial. So they just want you to factor. Raise your hand if you used, what do we call it? Chunking. Raise your hand if you did chunking. Okay, if you did chunking, this is my quick work twist. My same number there is x squared. And essentially what happens is that x squared becomes whatever I chose, and that was in this case u. So I have u squared minus 10u plus 9, so instead of writing x squared, I'm writing u. And then I just factored that. Okay? But for those who are doing Xbox method, let's do that together. Remember, we've been learning that if you have a trinomial, 1, 2, 3 terms, class, what is half of 4? 2. You have a, b, and your c value. Okay, so let's go ahead and use that to factor. Class, a times c. B value. Two numbers that multiply to be 9 and add to be negative 10. Negative what? Negative 9 and negative 1. Now, because your a value is equal to 1, you don't need this next step. I want you to hopefully clearly see why it comes out to be the answer that we're going to show you in a second. And this will actually help with today's lesson. So we're always going to put the first term in the top left. So that becomes x to the 4th. I'm always going to take the middle term, which we just split, and pay attention, remember that is x squared. So negative 9x squared and negative 1x squared. And then I have positive 9. Let's focus on the x, or the box now. Class, what's your greatest common factor? X squared. How about this direction? Negative 9. How about up here? X squared. And over here? Negative 1. Remember, you have to multiply to check your answer. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. Negative x squared, negative 9x squared, and then positive 9. So my answer to factor this is x squared plus 9, x squared minus 1. It is a minus 9 because I made a mistake. Thank you. Tell your partner why I left a big space in the middle. Class, is this A, B, or C? A, B, or C? What's my B value? 0x. And the reason why I did that is because you have to factor again. So let's get an answer from my blue here. A times C is negative 9. My B value is 0. Partner A whisper to partner B, what are the two numbers? Leslie P, what are my two numbers? Sade, what are my two numbers? Will negative 9 and 0 add to be 0? So let's write that over here. So I have x minus a negative 3 and x plus 3. Let me do the same thing for the orange. A times C is -1. B value is 0. Partner B whisper to partner A, what are your two numbers? Annalyn, what are our two numbers? Two numbers that multiply to be -1 but add to be 0. -1 and +1. Alright, let's review what we've done so far. It tells us to factor each polynomial. So I have a higher degree polynomial, and I use my Xbox method of factoring. And I get these. I factored it again, because I can keep going, and now I have something called these linear factors. Why are they called linear factors? Because x is to the power of what? 1.
I love man. You don't love man? What's wrong with you? I love man.
Alright, so for problem A, factor each polynomial expression of a set of complex numbers. I have 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, so I'm going to factor by grouping. And then if I look on this side, I have x to the 4th minus 4 times x times x times x. Pop up on GCF. X cubed, there's 3 of them. X times x times x. Not 3x, x to the cube, it's multiplication. Cost, what did I not circle in red? Okay, look, this is my clue. X minus 4 better show up on this side. Okay? Let's write out the factors. Now, this one has a minus sign. So let's see what happens if I write it with a negative. -1 times x times x. Plus, no. If I just do 4 times x, I'll have x plus 4, not x minus 4. Oh, tricky problem. -1 times -4 times x. Class, what do they have in common? -1 and an x. -1x is my greatest common factor. What did I now circle in red? X plus -4, which means x minus 4. Do you see why I had to do that? Both a -1 and a -4? Because I looked over here and I better have an x minus 4. If I left that 4 just 4 times x, that 4 would have been positive and they're not the same. So there's my first GCF. Here's my second set of GCFs. X minus 4. What did I not highlight in green? X cubed minus x. Oh, these tricky problems. This would give us a 3 out of 4. They really gonna push you on this one. Class, what's the GCF there? So I have x minus 4. There's my GCF. X, and then what's left if I take out an x? X squared minus 1. Still not done yet. Then on top of that, they said a times c is -1. B value is not there, that's the placeholder, that's 0. So that's +1 minus 1. So this problem's answer is x minus 4. That little x hiding, they like to put in front. And here in red, that becomes x plus 1, x minus 1. Hi. Okay. Now, let's try B. Same thing. I have, count with me, ready, set, go. 3 terms. I'm thinking x box, yes? What's half of 4? 2. It works. Let's do x box. A times c. B value. 2 numbers that multiply to be positive 9 but add to be negative 10. What? Negative 9? Negative 1. Negative times a negative is a positive. Negative plus a negative is a negative. Put it in the box. Negative 9, what? X squared. Negative 1, x squared. X to the 4th. I have a 9. Now I need to figure out the greatest common factor. GCF. X squared. GCF. Oh, negative. The reason why it's negative, because if I put an x squared here, right, GCF, x squared times something has to equal negative 9x. You can't put a 9 there. Over here, look. Negative 1. These problems are getting tricky ones, right? X squared minus 9 times x squared minus 1. Uh-oh. I saw this before. What am I going to write? What does this one become? X plus 1, x minus 1. We already saw that, right? Use the placeholder. Here, I'll write it out for you. X squared plus 0x minus 1. Okay? Over here, what do you think this one's going to become? X plus 3, x minus 3. Whew! There's my answer.
Alright, in question B2, it gives you a hint. It says, factor each expression by factoring out the greatest common factor. Now in your quiz, again, tomorrow, I'm not going to tell you do this. I'm just going to say factor completely. You should always be thinking about the greatest common factor. Now this next step is going to be kind of painful, but it just kind of shows you what it means to find the greatest common factor. Now each student does not need to do this, but it might be helpful. Negative 9x to the 4th is negative 9 times x times x times x times x. 45x cubed is negative 9 times negative 5 times x times x times x. And negative 9x squared is negative 9 times x times x. Class, what do each of those have in common? A negative 9 and x squared. Now, I'm going to write everything that's not in red. That would be x squared, negative 5x, and there's no number here. Does that mean I leave it blank, class? No. Remember, you can always have 1 as its factor. So negative 9 times 1. So the 1's still there, that would be a positive 1. Remember, if you're checking your answer and you're not sure if you're correct, you can always what? You can always multiply. Negative 9x squared times x squared is negative 9x to the 4th, 45x cubed, and negative 9x squared. Now if you look at this number here in purple, you might be asking yourself, can I factor that again? Well, if I do a times c, I get 1, and my b value is negative 5. Class, so there are 2 numbers that multiply to be 1 and then add to be negative 5. Any numbers, class? No. So in purple, this is prime, but pay attention. You don't write prime as your final answer. We're just saying in this purple, you cannot factor anymore. So our answer is just the GCF in this problem. Negative 9x squared times x squared minus 5x plus 1. Alright, so I have 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. And today I want to teach you guys a concept called chunking. Sounds like trick-or-treating. Chunking. What is chunking? Chunking is a substitution. Or another way of saying it is chunking is the greatest common factor of the first two terms. Chunking, you'll see, is a substitution, and it's really a greatest common factor of the first two terms. So I'm going to divide my work here to give us some space, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this problem really in two ways. So the first one is chunking. If you look at the problem there, you'll realize there is no greatest common factor, because I have an even, and an odd. But if I apply chunking, put your finger on the first two terms. Partner A tell partner B, what is your GCF of the first two terms? Ready, set, go. Okay, so you guys recognize they both have a what? A 4x. Now be careful now. If I look at these two, I recognize that yes, 4x is probably the greatest common factor. But what I need to do is I need to think of a shape. My favorite shape is a square. And what I want to do is I basically want to put something in here to get 4x squared. What do you think I can put in there? 2x. So there is my substitution. So we're going to put in 2x. Look here, watch. So 2x, that means 2x times 2x is 4x squared. And then if I do a minus 2, and I chose minus 2 because now I can do negative 2 times 2x equals negative 4x, and then I have the minus 3. So I'm saying that this expression is equal to this expression. And here comes my substitution. Instead of writing 2x, what are we going to write? We got a box squared minus 2 times a box minus 3. And you might be asking why we went from now letters to shapes. Essentially what we're doing here is we are making the quadratic problem, we're getting rid of the a value. Do you see that? And why I did that now is so that I can actually just do my x method. Let's review the x method. Now I'm doing it from right here. A times c, what's my a value, class? 1. And your c value? Negative 3. So a times c is negative 3. What letter goes down here? The b value. What's your b value? Negative 2. Partner A, whisper to partner B, what are the two numbers that go there? What are your two numbers that go there? Juan, what are your two numbers? Negative 3 and 1. So I have a box. We have negative 3. 1 here is positive. And then I'm going to do my substitution one more time. And so basically what we have now is 2x minus 3 and 2x plus 1.
Missing formulas in life, problems becoming too difficult to clear? Well then you need Mr. Math Cleaning Solution. Just spray the liquid formula onto the mess, then wipe it clear, and enjoy the result. Mr. Math. stay clean and calculated. Order now at www.gpproductions.com and get an additional